Back and better than ever, a little tardy to the party, but no harm done. It is Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening, usually at 6:30, a little bit later tonight. And this is not only our first show of 2024, so happy new year, not only to you two gentlemen, but also to everybody watching as well. It's a brand new year, only 3 days in, and as always, our first show of the year is recounting our favorite movies from last year. This is one of two of our biggest shows of the year. We'll have our top 5 worst films next week on the show. This week, though, we're focusing on the good, and there was a lot of good in the year 2023 when it came to movies in theaters, movies on streaming, et cetera, et cetera. I'm Steve Pulaski, joined by Dominic Guanzon and Joe Viso. I swear to God, I had a little bit of an omen of this now. If you're wondering why my production values aren't usually are a little bit shoddier this time around. For whatever reason, having difficulty opening Zoom on my laptop, so I had to pull out the phone and do it on the phone today. It was kind of an omen for this, though, because I was watching Viso, the betting network, the Vegas Insider Network, and anytime there's 3 hosts on that show, and they bring in guests, like via Zoom, anytime they brought in a guest, it would knock one of the hosts, the literal host, off the show. Oh. And it was bizarre. Like, they were talking over one another, and then the other co-host, the contributing producer, had to like finish the first segment when he realized what was going on. And then he goes, and then they're about to cut the commercial break, so they're queuing the music up. And he goes, coming up next, I don't know. This is Patrick's job, not mine. This is Viso.
That's really funny.
I kind of had a little bit of an omen of this happening, but grabbed my phone, downloaded Zoom, and here I am. So just want to say Happy New Year to you two gentlemen and stuff. I don't know if you can kind of see it. You really can't see it on here. You can see it on my webcam. I still got the Christmas tree up, though. We got to take this thing down this weekend, but I really like having it up. So my Christmas tree is still up. Joe, how is your New Year starting off, and is your Christmas tree still up?
My Christmas tree is down. I know I have the virtual background. That's because just my room is not made. My bed's not made or anything, because I left in a rush this morning, and I haven't had time to make my bed yet because I've been running around doing other stuff, like taking care of my dog and everything. I'm not going to go on too long because this is going to be a long show. We're going to be talking for a long period of time. We're probably going to have to do 2 sponsored intermissions from Zoom. So all I'll say is the new year has been starting great. I got a lot of goals and aspirations for the year. Knock on wood, they all go good, and I'm able to achieve them.
For your brother Dominic, how about you? Christmas tree up or
say again?
Christmas tree up or down?
Still up because we went down to St. Louis, Chelsea and I, for New Year's to see some friends and some family, and it was good. We got back to just today. Of course, I don't know if I guys ever told you, but her knee has sustained an injury. This happened like early in December, I think, and she's getting it looked at the hospital right now. Her dad's taking care of her. They begged me to come and support Chelsea, but I said no. We have Sleepless with Steve, top 5 movies of 2023 tonight. I'm so sorry. You'll have to pay out of pocket yourself. That joke doesn't work because we're married, but still, it's a good time. But well, not the knee part, but the going down to St. Louis and back. We took Amtrak, and that was an experience. Support your local train line.
That's gotta be fun. Never taken a train trip of that magnitude before, but that sounds like
nice.
It had to be kind of fun.
It was, and I mean, it's just the fact that you don't have to go through the anxiety of a flight, which granted is a little unfounded because it's the safest way to travel, but there is also the fact that you don't have to go through TSA. The wait is honestly nothing compared to flight, and I mean, we took the Metro into Union and then from Union down to St. Louis. Oh. So it was Union Station.
Actually, my upcoming trip, which I will not give details about, but happening in March that you guys know about, I almost actually took the, not the Metro, but the train that can travel, like Amtrak. I almost took Amtrak to the destination. It would have taken a whole day, but like honestly, it was only a little bit cheaper than a flight, and I was like, you might as well just take it.
Yeah.
We could bring more luggage on. And then a flight for another airline came down to 107 round trip, and I was like, never mind, we're taking that.
Ours was Amtrak to St. Louis, so yes, that's perfect.
Yeah. No, I've always wanted to ride Amtrak. It seems like a fun time, honestly. Like just actually like being able to just watch where you're going at ease, having being on a train and everything. Chairs look comfortable too.
I'm taking the metro more often to Chicago, and it's like, damn, trains. We've been all sleeping on trains as a country.
I love the metro, man. I'll take a metro to like neighborhoods nearby.
100%.
I love traveling on the train. It's truly probably my favorite way to travel.
Yeah.
But at any rate, though, we will jump into the show because we got a lot going on over here. I think we'll do this. We'll go me, Dom, Joe, back to me for the order of our top 5. Sound good?
Sounds good.
I think that's how we've always done it.
That is how I always do it, yeah.
Okay.
That's how we've always done it. It's me, then Dom, then Joe, then back to me. Sound good?
It's instinct.
Gucci.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen, let's get to it. 7 o'clock on the dot. We're going to start. Y'all ready, Joe?
Ready.
All right, my number 5
Saltburn. No.
Of 2023 is Oppenheimer. Starting off strong with Oppenheimer over here. And there's a lot been said about this movie. We devoted a long time to it on Sleepless with Steve. I imagine I'm probably not the only one of the three of us that included it on our list in some way, shape, or form, but it bears repeating how great this movie is. I was oddly enough reminded watching it of Steven Spielberg's West Side Story from 2021, and I explain why that is because that was such a remarkable movie, and it would have led you to believe, if you didn't know any better, that Steven Spielberg, who was 71 years old at the time, had been making musicals his whole entire career. But then you go and look at his filmography, and up until West Side Story, Spielberg had never made a musical. Christopher Nolan has never made a biopic before Oppenheimer. And this is so detail specific. It's the work of a cinematic tactician. And you would be led to believe that he would have been doing biopics his entire life. This is a really fascinating movie about a self-destructive man who's obsessed with solving a seemingly impossible math problem in order to create chaos and potentially put the world on the brink of disaster. That's essentially what Oppenheimer is about, and how it goes about its business is really fascinating. There's an electrifying score. Seeing this in the theater, this has to be maybe a top 3, maybe even a top 2 theater experience of the year too. And I can only imagine it plays really well in like 70 millimeter formats and 4K and everything like that. This is a symphony of just amazing technicalities all across the board, whether it's the score, whether it's the sound design, whether it's the music. Surely going to clean up a lot at the Oscars too. I still think Cillian Murphy is the chalk to win Best Actor for playing J. Robert Oppenheimer. This is an incredible story though, and we should be really grateful we got Christopher Nolan to tell it. It's currently available to watch on multiple platforms. Oppenheimer, my number 5 favorite film of 2023.
All right. We'll keep going along? Or will we dogpile on that? On Oppenheimer?
I have a feeling we're not going to be. It's not the only time we're going to be talking about it and stuff like that. So feel free to.
What makes you think
World
that?
War II, Christopher Nolan, political history. Maybe for me. We'll see.
I've been doing this show with you for a long time, Dom. I know you.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to me now.
Go ahead, Dom.
And we are going to be looking at my number 5. It is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This one came down, if we're getting a little gamey here, getting a little meta. This one really came down to the animation slot, which was this one and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'll be curious to see where that lines up on your guys' list. But for me, it did come out to Spider-Verse. Yes, I know we all want to talk about how it was like, oh, it's only part 1. It's unresolved. Sure, and there are arguments there. But at the end of the day, this really is something that pound for pound, if you look at the past decade of animation,
it's incredible.
You don't get this.
Yeah.
100%. It is incredible. And you don't get this pound for pound. It is a labor of love. And to see it as high as it is in the zeitgeist, in the mainstream, in terms of blockbusters for Sony, this is, dude, it's so funny to see where Marvel is right now. Almost sad if they weren't swimming in money, but it's so sad compared to where this seemingly simple formula of, hey, what if we just did really good animation and we had a solid foundation of a story uh, with that happened to have diversity in it. Well, there you go. And when the documentary comes out on this trilogy, I will. We're going to be reviewing that because I love me some animation history. I love me some technical. I love craft that I am absolutely incapable of doing. I love observing other people doing that. So easily within my top five. And yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me. Why uh, it does not appear on the list. The spoiler here for me, it does not appear on this list. It's because that story doesn't quite hold up to Spider-Man. That's my reasoning. It did get into a little, you know, superhero origin, and even I even liked that quick flashback in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just because it was told, you know, so competently. But at the end of the day, it did feel very origin. Whereas this Spider-Man, it just feels. I mean, don't get me wrong, multiverse stuff too. That's a little played out too these days. But it's a little fresher, and it's done in such an artistic way that happily, easily within my top five.
Nice. I just got done playing Spider-Man, the PS4 game, not on PlayStation 4, but on PC. The port,
I've heard good things.
Yeah. It was $20 throughout the holiday sale on Steam, and I was like, you know what? I've been putting this on the back burner for so long. I just beat it. By far, probably one of the best Spider-Man stories, up there with Spider-Verse, the first one, Homecoming, and Spider-Man 2 for me. I absolutely loved it, man. It's a good time to be a Spider-Man fan. We are swimming in good Spider-Man content.
100%.
Has been for the last few years, definitely. This is like the golden era of Spider-Man, and we thought that was the case when we were kids.
Yeah, honestly. Little did we know. All right, I will go on to my list. I'm doing things a little differently. Normally, I think because I just messed it up when I was making my slides. Normally, I noticed that we did our numbers like 10 through 6, or like our honorable mentions like before number 1. I have it right now, so I'm just going to go through it real quick. Number 10, I have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. 9 is Creed 3. 8 is Air. 7, like Dom was saying, I also like having animation on my list as well, but for my pick, it went with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. And number 6 is Barbie. So, going on to my actual number 5 of 2023, I have a movie that we did not get a chance to review on Sleepless, and I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch this at all, but it is The Killer, directed by David Fincher, available on Netflix.
Still need to see this one.
Yeah. The Killer is one of the best action thrillers I've seen this year. Michael Fassbender gives an amazing performance about this sociopathic hitman who, for the first 15 minutes of this movie, you're thinking to yourself, oh, this guy, he has a code of ethics. He plays it cool. He's cool. He's calm and collective on how he operates. It really puts you in this mindset of how this guy performs on his job, how he doesn't have empathy or emotions. He doesn't display them whenever he's like, you know, when he's on a mission to like either kill someone or assassinate a target. But when, you know, his employers betray him and they go to his homes and they go to his home to try to kill him and end up putting his wife in the ICU. The whole first 15 minutes of this movie that's done through an opening monologue narration through him is flipped on its head, where he has this whole code of ethics of how he operates and performs and everything. Now it's the complete opposite. He says, oh, I'm devoid of emotion because, you know, if I bring emotion into this, I'll mess up on my job. I'll do this. And now because his wife is in the ICU and they were trying to kill him and they hurt his wife, he now feels anger, he feels sadness, he feels fear because he doesn't know what's going to happen. And he's on this path of destruction that is a revenge story that is awesome to see. I never really seen David Fincher do action before. Other than Alien 3 is the only thing that really comes to my mind. This has one of the coolest action sequences I've seen where Michael Fassbender goes toe-to-toe with a dude as big as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And it is one hell of an action scene. It's really cool to watch him go from like Mr. Perfectly Fine to just like just on this path of destruction, like I was saying, and everything. And while I do love my John Wick movies, it's cool to get a hitman assassin like thriller movie where it's more pulled back and done not in a realistic way, but just a more down to earth way. It's available on Netflix. It's a shame because I feel like this is one of those movies that Netflix put out, and because Netflix has so much other crap coming on their catalog, it gets buried underneath it. To me, it was one of my favorite movies this year. I had a fun time watching it. Great score as well. And I love the lead performance. And of course, it's David Fincher. He's one of my favorite directors. So I just had a great time watching it. One side note I'll make is they make a thing in this movie, and you'll catch it if you're from Illinois. He's like, oh, I have to go to New York City right now, and I have to take the train to get there. And this dude is riding the metro to St. Charles. And I was like, wait, hold on a minute.
What?
Yeah, it was filmed in St. Charles, like one of the sequences in this movie. It was really cool to see. I was like, wow, that's like two movies like I know that were filmed in St. Charles, which was Munger Road and now The Killer. Very different quality, but yeah. So,
Munger Road.
Number 5 for me, The Killer.
Wow.
I do need to see that. I've been recommended that by a couple different people and stuff. I'd like to try to watch that this month. And your placement on your list, I think, validates that as well.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I can't speak for how good it might be to you and everything, but it's definitely damn worth the watch.
Excellent stuff. We'll bring it on back. Number 4. My number 4 favorite film of 2023 is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. See, now I got actually technically a religious movie on my top 10 of the year, okay? So you guys can't call me super
wow.
Sell out.
It's got
You're just a sexist, but you're not anti-religion.
This was directed by a woman, at least. Directed and written by a woman. So you got to give me some credit there. No, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This is a lovely, lovely movie. I actually liked this movie so much when I first saw it at an advanced screening back in May, I believe it was. I liked it so much I bought the book and read the book, and the Judy Blume book, which is very good. It's very, very good read, and this is a very faithful adaptation of that story. It's only 100 minutes, and it covers a ton of ground. It manages to tell the coming-of-age story of an 11-year-old girl named Margaret, goes through some of the more defining moments of her adolescence, looks at her family and their dynamics, also develops her grandmother, who's a big part of her life, and it deals with the festering conflict of Margaret's religious identity, all while being funny, whip smart, and really also showing what it means to grow up as a young woman, regardless of your generation. This movie's set, I want to say they keep it pretty faithful to when the book took place in the 70s. And this really, it's got that 70s vibe to it, but it's also got this sort of timeless aesthetic to it, which is really nice. The movie was written and directed by Kelly Freeman Craig, who, if that name sounds at all familiar, this is her first movie since The Edge of 17 several years ago, too.
Okay.
Which is a coming of age movie. There's a lot at work in this movie that makes it such a beautiful adaptation and a loyal adaptation too. And really at the center of this is the performance by Abby Ryder Fortson, who does a really outstanding job of portraying Margaret and all her foibles and everything, especially as she starts to like expose herself to different religions and stuff. Because one of the eternal conflicts of the movie is that the mother was raised Catholic and the father's Jewish. So she's caught at this sort of like identity crisis where both of their families don't get along. And they don't want to force religion. The parents don't want to force Margaret into the religion, but her grandmother's like trying to get her to convert to Catholicism while the father's family wants her to be Jewish. Like it's one of those like push-pull dynamic relationships that's really portrayed pretty thoughtfully in this movie. I loved it. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It's a really fun watch, and it's one of Judy Blume's most cherished works. And it's finally nice to see this. To finally see this story be told. Judy Blume even said it was better than her book. That's the kind of praise it's garnered too.
Wow.
Kelly Craig did an outstanding job. She called it better than the book. It's available to rent now on multiple platforms, but it's also available on Hulu, and it's available on Stars for the 6 people that have Stars. So yeah, loved it. Really, really good film. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
If only Diary of the Wimpy Kid had such love and such love taken care for it with its franchise.
And they just like switched casts in that movie. Like I watched 3 of them and they all sucked. and which is a pain because I love that book series. Um, and and I remember they just like switched casts like inexplicably. Wasn't Ezra Miller in the original? I want to say.
Maybe he was Roderick. I don't know.
I don't know, but God, those movies
No,
suck.
he
That
definitely wasn't Roderick. Never mind. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of women out there who he was the original Roderick was a heartthrob for them.
I think I'm confusing that. That's true. But that movie, I remember like 20 minutes into the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie thinking, yeah, this really worked effectively as a damn diary and not a, because seeing this shit on the
Oh
screen
my
is not
God.
nearly funny, But that, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. That is a fun
Top
movie.
five. This is the top five.
Dom, whenever you're ready.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
All right, my number 4 is Nothing But Net. It's Air.
Oh.
Sports movie of the best sports movie of the past 10 years, and there isn't even any actual basketball in it. That's how I like my sports movies. No actual sports. Moneyball. Although the original, I think the guy who did the screenplay and the book is kind of a bit of a hack these days. I don't know. That's beyond me. But the thing is, Air, awesome stuff. And yeah, dude, there's so much here that honestly, like this was looking to be kind of dumb in like the marketing and the previews where it's like, really? Yeah, are you just gonna be making like, hey, it's Michael Jordan jokes the whole effing time? Because we all know how the story ends, right? But it's a matter of how you get there. And yeah, there was absolutely a story to be told here. A little bit of polishing up, a little bit of maybe some whitewashing, but for the most part, it's a good time. It's a fun journey with these characters. And dude, Ben Affleck, when he comes out with a movie, they're pretty damn good movies.
They are, yeah.
Uh, he first came to my attention as a director with Argo, which he had done stuff before that, I think.
The
I'm not
Town
actually
and Gone Baby Gone were the two films he did before that.
Oh, Gone Baby Gone. Did I actually ever watch that like fully? I don't know. But either way, this is an all-star cast, joke unintended. But honestly, what really does, I mean, first of all, if we can just talk about how Chris Tucker does like a very huckster kind of voice, and it totally works. Like it's not like, oh shit, can we do this in 2020 in 2023? But no, it absolutely works. And I think for him, it's we're not going to go into a full discussion here, but I think with Chris Tucker, we're all kind of, I feel like we've been sleeping on him, because we only think of him in the context of Rush Hour. But yeah, he last popped up in my mind with Silver Linings Playbook.
Yes,
but anyway,
yeah.
Again, I'm going way out of kilter here. Viola Davis is the true highlight of this film. Obviously, the other three mains: Jason Bateman, Matt Damon. Matt Damon just fatly walking around corners. Somehow the most walking, true emphasis on just walking was great. But honestly, Viola Davis gives us the heart and soul of this movie here, and the power, the dynamicism of Wraith, and the athletes that came out for the longest time, particularly for Black athletes, because that's just how it is in this country. They could have even tapped to that even more, but they essentially get to the heart of it, which is that, yeah, no, it's hard for a Black person to make some ends meet in this country, statistically speaking. So really, they're just resigned to giving up their bodies for the sake of our Coliseum sports here. So can we at least get these guys some money? And now it's such a successful endeavor that Dolores Johnson was able to pull off, that now we always think of it, oh, those damn sports players, they make too much darn money. Well, better than the other way around.
Yeah, at another time.
Yeah, and they even touch on, with the end credits, the NCAA stuff too, where it's like, hey, yeah, maybe they can get a little bit of something there too, which they alluded to at the very end.
Not to derail, but it makes total sense that Sonny Vaccaro, who Matt Damon plays, wound up being one of the driving forces for NIL name and image and likeness deals in the NCAA.
100%. He took it to court and they won. So yeah, dude, this is a sleeper hit. I'm glad it actually did pretty damn decent at the box office. Yeah, 90 million on a budget of 70 to 90 million. But hey, you know what? It's all good. It broke even
Keep
made
in
a little
mind,
bit of
Amazon
coin.
wasn't initially thinking to put that movie in theaters either.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember the initial trailer said available on or coming soon to Amazon Prime, and then they decided to put it in theaters.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Good choice.
All right.
I think this will be our last one before we go to break.
Probably it'll probably be safe to do that. I do want to say regarding Air. What's up, Steve?
The clock. I can't see.
Oh, we're at
Yeah.
How much time we at?
9 minutes.
9 minutes. Okay. Yeah.
9 minutes.
Got it.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say about Air, like I think I had 8 on my list for best movies. That screenwriter Alex Convery. Hope he gets a nomination. Don't know if he's gonna get the win. There's a lot of good screenplays this year, but for his first screenplay ever to be that, yeah, man, you deserve at least something. That was damn good writing right there. Had a great time watching that movie. Moving on. All right, my number 4 pick for 2023. This used to be number 1 actually, and then a few movies came out and it just kind of fell. That doesn't take away from how incredible this movie is, and that movie is Oppenheimer, directed by Christopher Nolan, and it's available to rent on a plethora of streaming platforms. I actually just rewatched it a few nights ago. Me and my friends did Barbenheimer because they didn't get a chance to see Oppenheimer, and I was like, you know what, let's do it again, and it'll give me a good excuse to watch both these movies before we do our list.
Barbenheimer at home?
Yeah, Barbenheimer at home. Oppenheimer is my favorite Nolan film in a long time. After movies like Interstellar, Dunkirk, which I thought were good, but I wasn't like that crazy about them. I was like, yeah, they were good, but I don't know. There was just something not there for me compared to something like Inception, The Dark Knight, or The Prestige. Oppenheimer for me, especially after Tenet too, which I won't go further into. Oppenheimer to me is the best film he's made since The Dark Knight. And even like what Steve said, for someone who hasn't done biopics, you would think this dude like mastered it, created the genre himself with how good it was done here, especially with a 3-hour runtime. I had a blast watching this movie. Nolan took 3 hours and made it feel like 2 with his incredible pacing and storytelling that this movie had. It's cast from Cillian Murphy to Matt Damon to Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., and so many other performances from a stacked cast where even if they're on screen for just like a minute of time, they're at least helping you sell the feeling that you are at the Manhattan Project during this crucial time of history during World War II, and then you are in the hot seat when you are dealing with the aftermath along with J. Robert Oppenheimer throughout the last whole hour of this movie, which is a lot of people have come out and said, I've talked to like tons of people, they're like, yeah, the last hour of Oppenheimer to me is the weakest part of the film. For me, it's the best part of the movie. I love watching that last hour, and I'm glad seeing you guys nod makes me feel more validated.
Yeah,
to me, it's like that's when everything just like you would think that's when you lose steam, because like for me, a lot of 3-hour movies, especially another one that we had this year, the last hour, especially when it becomes a courtroom drama, that's when it started losing pace for me. This year, that's when this movie picked up. So hey man, props to you, Nolan, for what you did here. It features an incredible score, amazing cinematography, costume and set design, and so much more. It's a clear and cut winner for almost all of those categories at the Oscars. I think it will probably dominate the night when we do get around to watching the Oscars and seeing, who comes out as a winner. If you haven't seen Oppenheimer, do yourself a favor, put down your phone, get a bucket of popcorn, and watch the damn movie. It is well worth the 3-hour runtime. It's one of the best movies of the year. It used to be my favorite movie of the year until, well, you'll find out with these next 3 movies.
There's a great, I have nothing to add right now except that there's a great edit on YouTube, and it's like Oppenheimer if it was released in 2005 or something, and it's just the last like couple minutes of Oppenheimer where it's just it's the last conversation between Einstein and Oppenheimer, and they're talking, and it's like a Linkin Park song is like slowly coming out of the background, and then it goes to the face, and then it goes hit on that song, and it goes to like some butt rock, but then it's like 30 seconds later, there's a mid-credit scene, and it's the scene where Robert Downey Jr. is talking to the guy, and he's like, "Who the hell voted against me?" And it's like a senator.
John
Shaq
Kennedy.
Kennedy, and then goes to it's like a Marvel intercut. It's so good. It is. I'll link it in the message.
Please do. That sounds great, actually.
It's really good.
The bomb goes off and then Higher by Creed plays.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what the song was, but it was so perfect. Absolutely perfect. I got nothing to add. Let's just keep going. Or no, I
We
think
got
we'll go
cut
to break,
to intermission.
right?
Yeah, Steve, go ahead and take us out.
We'll cut to intermission right here is one of probably 2 Zoom-sponsored intermissions on the night. When we come back, getting down to the top 3 over here. I've got my top 3 of the year, and so do these gentlemen. It is Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube, back in about 60 to 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube after a Zoom-sponsored intermission. We are continuing with our favorite films of 2023, about a half hour into the show. Already into the top 3. Show is moving. Show is definitely moving. Might slow down as we get to the top picks, though. And with that in mind, Joe, are you ready?
Go ahead.
I will give my number 3 pick. My number 3 favorite film of 2023 is Randall Park's Shortcomings. Really love this movie. This movie came out in late August, and it was never going to be a big hit. I was amazed, actually, that Dubuque got it. I was really impressed that we actually got it, because I think at its peak, this thing was only in about 650 theaters. So the fact that we've got this movie was pretty outstanding, I thought. This is based on a really great graphic novel series by Adrian Tomina. Adrian Tomina is an outstanding graphic novelist. If you haven't heard of him, look into him. He's got one of my all-time favorite graphic novels. It's called The Loneliness of the Long-Distance Cartoon Writer. And he's been making a lot of human interest graphic novels for many years. Actually, our mutual friend Peter Medlin was the one who turned me on to him a couple of years ago. And Tomina is one of the best in the business, too, and he writes this movie. This is the first screenwriting credit for him, too. Randall Park, you undoubtedly recognize him, too. If you look him up, Randall Park's been on a handful of different shows and things like that, too. He was on, I think he was on Fresh Off the Boat. He was in the Blockbuster show on Netflix, Always Be My Maybe, he was into. So this is his directorial debut. And what this movie is essentially, it's kind of hard to articulate exactly what this movie is about, but essentially it's about a guy named Ben, played by Justin M. Hin. And Ben is this very callous, self-absorbed person who's dating this woman named Miko. And they live in California. And long story short, they break up shortly into the movie because she wants to move to New York City to do this internship. So Ben's closest friend, Alice, played by Sherry Cola from Joyride, winds up going to New York as well. So, without much going on in his own personal life, he decides to take a sabbatical to New York City to spend time with Alice, played by Sherry Cola, and her new girlfriend, and try to patch things up with his now ex girlfriend Miko. This movie has a lot in common with like Woody Allen movies. It's got a very Woody Allen sensibility in the way that it focuses on these characters' dynamics and such. And Tomina really, when it comes to his books, when it comes to his graphic novels, it's always about like what isn't said in conversations or what isn't shown in the panel. But his dialogue is often very pointedly funny, and it's revealing in how much it works to develop the characters involved. It's a lot of simple, eye-catching sketches and the body language of the characters, and a lot of that translates extremely well to this movie. His screenwriting debut too. There's a lot of identity politics in this too. This is also a coming-of-age story about Asian Americans as well, but it's got a lot of humor in it though. It's got a lot of humor and interesting things in it too. One of the recurring jokes in like identity politics things in this movie is the fact that Ben finds himself attracted to white women despite the fact that his girlfriend is Asian, that Miko's Asian, and he tells her at one point, and this gives you all the insight you need to know about Ben. He tells his girlfriend, he says, oh, whenever I see a person, whenever I see like an Asian man with a white woman in public, I can't help but thinking that guy won. He got himself a white woman. And he tells that to his girlfriend. That just describes his personality.
Can I tell you that for many years, that's literally what I would do as well? I was like, in my head, I never did it, but I always like mentally fist bump the dude, be like, nice, bro. Hell yeah. That literally what I did as well. And, you know, it's like, why did I do that? This problematic, that line of thinking. Still, though, nice.
That's funny. That's funny. I think you both love this movie. I love your take on it too, Dom. Shortcomings, my number 3 favorite film of the year. Really great stuff. Was truly impressed. Not only by that, but also by Randall Park's direction too. He does have a very fun cameo in this as a waiter at a restaurant too. I'll add that.
Asian. There's that joke among like Asian creatives where it's like, Asian creator, try not to make a story mentioning that you're Asian. Challenge impossible. Impossible. All right, my number 3.
Go ahead, Dom.
My number 3 is Holding Over, the holding hand story. It is Holdovers, available, I think still in theaters, right? I think it's
on.
Still watch
yeah,
this
you can still see it in theaters and Peacock.
For some reason, this is, I mean, I guess Oppenheimer, but like this is like top of what I tell people, watch this one in theaters. For some reason, it works very well in theaters. It'll also work great at home, don't get me wrong, but when I was assembling my top 5 list, I narrowed it down to like a top 12, and then of course the top 5, and then but looking at the dozen, I was like, man, nothing on this movie is like The Holdovers. I got some animated stuff. I got a few superhero movies. I'm not afraid to admit that. Guardians of the Galaxy was my number 8. Two slasher films, Scream 6 at number 10, Totally Killer number 12, etc., etc. But Holdovers really is something that we don't get a lot of. A lot of, don't get me wrong, actually, a lot of movies do try to emulate this kind of style. And I will say, I'm not saying that every story that wants to be this coming of age story, you don't need to completely emulate the vintage film 70s look. All right, that was that extra cherry on top, and it was nice. It was great. But honestly, this is a hyper focused film. It's, I don't want to say efficient, but it is very smart about it. Handles its story. In fact, how long is this movie?
About 2 hours and 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. So 2 hours, did you say?
Yeah, about 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah, so it's not even short or brisk, but it's just effective. I did not find myself looking at the clock in any way, shape, or form. Didn't feel fast, didn't feel slow. It felt just right. How this story should have been told, should have been told. And the performances here are, of course, the bread and butter. It's everything. the triumvirate of Giamatti. Oh my god, I really need to pull up these effing movies, these cast lists before I go into these rants. Okay,
Divine Joy Randolph. I'm assuming you're gonna bring
thank
up.
you,
Yeah.
Pial Giamatti, Dominic Sessa, and Dominic Sessa, Divine Joy Randolph. Yes, the triumvirate here of these actors is so damn good. They mesh so well with each other. I had a fear that they were going to treat um, Joy Randolph as kind of like a side throwaway, black, just whatever diversity thing there, but no,
It's pretty
integral
bad
part
when
of the
all
story.
three of us initially thought that too, and
Yes.
when we all three of us brought that up in our review.
It was like, oh, they're going for the 70s look, so, but they also don't want to be accused of whitewashing it. So no. Integral part of the story, balanced out the Giamatti Sessa story perfectly, and without her character, this story would have definitely have lacked something, and it wouldn't have even cracked my, top 10 maybe if it wasn't for that. So 100%, this movie needs to be seen and appreciated. I don't know why I keep looking at the box office, but 19.2 million. I think this is gonna bomb, right? Or unless we don't have a projection for the budget, but please go watch this movie because I want to see more like it. Maybe not even every year, but every few years. Can we get something this heartfelt, harkening back to this kind of era?
I'm super excited. I'm super excited for the next collaboration between Alexander Payne and David Hemmingson, who wrote The Holdovers. Their next work is going to be Alexander Payne said it's going to be a Western.
I'm down.
Okay.
I'm down. I haven't personally seen a good Western, just because I haven't just seen any Western in a bit, I think. So I'm down.
I don't have anything to add to the Holdovers yet, winky face. But I do want to say, like, while it might not be doing that great at the box office, it has been getting good word of mouth through the Peacock streaming avenue. And if this gets nominated, which it very much should, that whole Oscar campaign that they'll do where they re-release it back in the theaters for people to go see should help it a little bit more then too.
One boost this movie did get today is that, and I don't really agree with this decision of the Academy, but they made it. Barbie is eligible only for adapted screenplay because it's based off a toy.
Oh, okay.
Which
that's fine. Yep, that's fine by me.
I think it's kind of ludicrous because Greta Gerwig came up with the whole story. It's not like that story was a pre-existing, but it's the intellectual property angle that they say it's based on the Mattel toy. And the reason I even bring this up, though, as a fact, is because it was looking like Barbie would have gotten the original screenplay win. Now that it's for adapted screenplay, that opens up a path for the Holdovers to win Best Original Screenplay.
Let's go.
But now Barbie's going to be up in Oppenheimer because Oppenheimer is based on a book.
Oh, shit.
Damn it. Now you got me thinking three different ways, but I was happy just because it's like, it's Barbie, it'll do fine. I was like, no, I actually do want it to hold its own.
I was even like thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, best costume design Oppenheimer, best set that. Oh crap, Barbie! I'm like, that's what it's gonna be throughout the whole show. It's gonna be like, ah, shit, Barbie's nominated for this too, and Oppenheimer.
The thing that took the world by storm for a couple, 3 to 4 or 5 months.
Oh man! All right, Dom, you good?
Yes, I am.
All right, cool. I'm gonna move on to my number 3. My number 3, while, it is debated whether Jay Oppenheimer is, a terrible human being for what he's brought onto the world and everything, or as a man of science, he really advanced us technologically, whatever you want to say. There's different ways you can look at that and everything. There is one good thing that this is so messed up that Oppenheimer did bring us, and that is Godzilla!
No! Joe, Godzilla -1?
Yes, my number 3 is Godzilla -1. Did you see it, Dom?
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you guys. I did see it back in this, a week ago. I saw it a week ago. And Joe,
oh no, you're gonna break my heart.
State your case, sir. State your case.
Oh my god. Look, man. Godzilla fans were eating good, as you can tell by this slide right here.
They are.
Godzilla -1, great movie. Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, Great drama on Apple TV. And for all you people who love watching that stupid stuff, like I do, hey man, we got Godzilla X Kong, the new empire, right around the corner with Baby Kong. We got Baby Yoda and Baby Kong. To get really serious here, though, we had The Creator come out in September, and it showed how good a movie can look with $100 million budget. And now we have this drama blockbuster with Godzilla, which was made for less than $15 million, showing how good it looks. Look, man, I gotta say, between those two movies, what the hell is going on with these superhero movies and their CGI budgets, and where the hell is that money going? But besides that, let me focus on Godzilla here. Godzilla Minus One is an incredible drama with action horror elements. This movie takes place during the last few days of World War II, where a kamikaze pilot, a failed one at that too, returns home to find his hometown has suffered greatly due to the war. He struggles to find work and afford to take care of this homeless woman that he met on the street that's also looking after a baby that they don't even know where the parents are at. She's just like, yeah, I just came across this kid, and I'm not just going to let a baby like sit there and, die on her own. I got to take care of this. As the war comes to near the end and the nuclear bombings happen, Japan as a country slowly starts to rebuild their home until, of course, Godzilla shows up and does what he's known for. While the governments are trying to figure out what to do with Godzilla and how they're going to go about it, the citizens are growing tired and have had enough of being told what to do by their government, which led their country to this low point because of fighting in World War II, and to take matters into their own hands and try to kill Godzilla on its own. This movie has an amazing climax sequence. And just overall, Don might disagree with me here, but maybe the best Godzilla film to date.
Shut the hell up. No, you're not serious right now.
Don, I've gone this far. There's no joke. There's no joke here. I'm sorry.
This is better than Shin Godzilla.
I like it more than Shin Godzilla. I'm sorry if that hurts you. I really am. Shin Godzilla is
your phrasing just saved you. Your phrasing just saved you. You like this more than Shin Godzilla. That I can believe. You simpleton. No, I'm kidding. This is a Bad Boys Fast and Furious.
Oh, dude,
this is the bad boy side coming out of Joe right now.
Man, all right. I'm surprised. Man, we gotta. Steve, now you gotta go see this movie. We gotta have an actual review for this now.
I think we kind of have to do at this point.
We gotta see where everybody stands on this, man.
I looked the other way when it came out just because I'm not a big Godzilla fan. But and after seeing Shin Godzilla, it's like I feel like I've seen the best right now. But a lot of people
you have, Steve, you have.
Debatable, but I can't believe this is an actual thing happening right now. Holy crap! This is a surprise. Shit.
Let me say.
Go ahead.
I didn't put it in my dozen, but I would have put it at number 10. Let me say that. Right between Gran Turismo and Scream 6.
Yeah, on his worst list.
No, top 10, top 12, yes.
Oh my god. Anyways, I do love Godzilla. Like, it's one of my favorite movie characters of all time. It's kind of like the same idea with James Bond for me. I love looking at the different iterations and what they did during a different time period. Like when he first started, it was an allegory, for the nuclear bombings and everything. And then you had, the period where it's the rubber suit, and these were big action films in Japan. And then you had the American remakes and America trying to do its thing with Matthew Broderick with that movie, the Roland Emmerich film, I should actually say. Right. And then even to the 2014 Godzilla film, which, look, man, everybody I talked to in high school, the week of graduation, went to go see that movie. And when we all came to do our practice for our ceremony, everybody was talking crap about that movie. I had to sit there and bite my lip because I thought it was at least good. I didn't think it was great. And
that was good.
And then here's my stupid film brain buffness. I come in, I'm like, well, it was similar to the 1939 Gojira film made in Japan. And it's like, yeah, I really looked awesome when saying that in front of a bunch of people who are high schoolers.
Joe, let me say that the 2014 Godzilla was so good, it was better than -1.
That's cap. Anyways,
now any sequel after 2014, any American post 2014 movie, yes, it does not compare to -1 even, but yes.
Anyway, all I gotta say this is Godzilla's an asshole in this movie, in a good way. He's a devastating force. I love the monster design of it, and I love what they did with him in this movie. I kind of lost my train of thought throughout this whole thing because Dom just
I'm actually very sorry about that.
No, you're totally fine. That was just shocking to hear, and like just like this image that I'm showing on screen, my train got derailed, and I don't know where I'm going. Anyways, that is my number 3, Godzilla -1.
Excellent stuff. I might have to finally see this movie. I really might. Gonna watch The Killer first. I will be honest. I'm gonna watch The Killer first, but I wouldn't mind doubling back to review Godzilla -1 later on this year if we have a lull weekend or a lull week or something like that.
Okay.
Moving
the show
forward,
will end. That will be the last show because I'll never talk to Dom ever again after that day. I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you.
All right, we'll keep it going. Down to our final 2, each of us. My number 2 favorite film of 2023 is I Like Movies. It's a statement, and it is a movie that I truly love. It was looking to be my number 1 for a while for this year. This has been a floater on our schedule for a long time now. I got a screener of this back in the summer, I want to say June or so, and I thought it would come to video on demand pretty quickly after. This is a Canadian release, and it hasn't gotten its release in the US yet. It's still not, kind of remarkably so. I don't know what they're doing with this thing, but it did technically come out in 2023. It was released in Canada. And I always feel bad when I do this. Like I did it last year with Punch 9 for Harold Washington. I got a screener and I'm like, this is one of the best movies of the year, but you can't watch it. And I hate doing that, but this movie deserves some attention. This is a movie from Chandler Levac, and who is, I think, she's going to be one of the next great directors to watch. It is amazing to me that like, this movie is about this like high school kid that is this awkward movie lover, cinephile who dreams that he's going to like New York University to become a filmmaker, to NYU Film School. He lives in Ontario. It's set in 2003. He gets a job at a Blockbuster, and essentially the movie is not so much an endorsement of this kid, but also an indictment of this kid. Those of us who were young cinephiles like myself too might not want to admit, but we were a Lawrence Queller at times. That's the character's name in the movie. He's played by Isaiah Lentinen. He's someone who's so obsessed with film that he lives and breathes it. He schools people who don't love the same movies as him. And when he gets a job at the video store and the manager says, "How many copies of Shrek do you think you can sell this week?" He says, "I'm sorry, I took this job because I thought I was going to be promoting real cinema."
That's really funny.
It's so niche, but it's not a love letter to like cinephiles. In many ways, like I said, it's an indictment. It's kind of like not something you want to hear, but something you need to hear if you were like a teenager. And I tried not to be like this, but I inevitably was. But beyond the whole like movie references and this kid's bonding with his friend over Saturday Night Live every weekend and stuff, there's a lot of new lessons in this movie with some divine character work. It's set in 2003. Its devotion to its like era specificity is really commendable too. It's got this sort of acidic edge to this movie too, because the kid, Isaiah Lentinen's character Lawrence, lives with his single mother, and his single mother can't possibly afford to send him to NYU Film School, which is part of the reason he gets this job at the video store to try to pay for it. It's shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, so it even looks retro too. And there's a few really heartbreaking scenes here, but it's always handled gently by Chandler Levac, who again I think is a writer director really to watch here. Lawrence Queller is easily one of the most fascinating characters in any film this year. He's going to be relatable for a lot of people like me, but the lesson really at the end of this movie, and I Like Movies, is one that is necessary for young men and women who are told throughout high school that they need to look towards college for the friends and social experiences for which which they crave. It's a movie about a character who so desperately needs to stop living vicariously through movies and directors that don't know he exists, and instead go out and begin making a life he's proud to live. And it's a brutally honest movie about cinephiles. It's very special. It hopefully will be on video on demand here soon, and when it is, I definitely want to review it on the show to get your guys' opinion. I like movies as my number 2 favorite film of the year.
It sounds like this movie needs to be screened. You need to prove that you have watched it before you enter the r/movies subreddit. Like it's like the verification instead of age. It's just, have you seen I Like Movies? Okay, good.
Reviews are like from critics on Letterboxd because that's pretty much who has seen it, and very select, and like, select audiences, because it did get a Canadian release and stuff. One of my favorite Letterboxd reviews when this first dropped was a lot of you dickheads were Lawrence Queller on this website, and it shows.
Yeah.
And it
sounds like it's the most potent release of the year.
Yeah,
it's great.
Exactly its target audience.
We will review it on the show whenever the hell it sees an American release.
I'm down. All right, number 2.
Yeah, I just want to say sorry if you were looking at me and you're like, why the hell is Joe cracking up throughout this? Because I saw live what Dom was doing for this next one. I'm just going to let him take it from here.
Number 2 is Shin Godzilla. It is my number 2 of the year. Yes, this was released back in 2016, but that's okay because when a message is prescient, no, it's Barbie. Barbie. It is impossible to overstate how shitty this movie could have been. And I'm not even just talking about the Amy Schumer stuff, right? I know she's everyone's punching bag nowadays, and to a degree, I hear rightfully so. But for me, it's just the simple fact that, dude, this could have been the most corporate ass effing thing, direct to DVD, shitty ass, I don't know, just a really, really bad movie. But no, Greta Gerwig did something with this franchise, did something with these blank slate of dolls of which we have so many preconceived notions of. She managed to actually distill it into a quite effective commentary, maybe a little milquetoast for the more informed of us, but you know what? It's effing Barbie, dude. It was always going to be a wide release, a big thing to talk about amongst everyone, because every American has some kind of relationship with Barbie, including me. I never owned a Barbie doll, but growing up in kindergarten through, grade school, I saw other girls playing with Barbie dolls. And what is that? Even though I never had any playtime with it, I was made fun of for like looking at Barbie dolls, thinking I was going to play with it. So we all have a relationship with it. And the fact that this got turned into a clever comedy with really fun characters and with a sting, with a really good bite to it, a sting of cleverness to it all is really honestly a relief. That's what I feel with this, is that, guys, we effing did it. We effing did it, dude. Ryan Gosling, what an incredible actor. Like, I know that's hardly a profound statement, and he is the movie bro go-to dude, literally me, but he honestly has transcended beyond that, and he is the most important part of this film. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, dude, I can't deny, obviously we kind of do our best, and I'll wrap up, but we kind of do our best to try to downplay this part of the movie-going experience, but we can't deny how effing strong that phenomenon was in the summer. And
dude,
it
reminded me of Pokemon Go Summer. That's how crazy it was.
Bro, dude, yes. I was gonna say too, like, this reminded me of going to see the first Infinity Avengers movie and the last Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Or the Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame. Yeah, that makes more sense.
For nerds, it was that. For the Black community, it was Get Out. And I didn't see Get Out on opening night. I think I saw it like a couple weeks after, but still there were black people in the movie. And I was like, shit, Moon, I need to go to see like, I need to go see more like Medea movies when they come out. This is fun. This is funny shit. I'm not joking. Shit like that. And I was Pokemon Go is an incredible example. I was going to say the first Pokemon movie back in the 2000s where like every kid was being taken by their parents.
I use Pokemon Go because I mean you could use Avengers
that's a great example.
You could use Avengers to this extent because even my family who weren't keeping up with the Marvel movies wanted to go see the last two Avenger movies because of how big it was. But like I use Pokemon Go to that extent because it was like I'm not that big of a Pokemon fan, but like I'll play that game because it's like, hey, I played with one of the games on my Game Boy Color and I thought it was fun. And now I could do it on my phone with my friends. It's the same thing of like, all right, I didn't grow up with Barbie, but I know of its existence and everybody's talking about it. I guess I'll go check it out.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's such a huge movie this summer, and it like Spider-Man No Way Home was huge as well, and that garnered a lot of like cross promotion on social media and things like that. But, I mean, Barbie felt bigger. It really did.
It did.
I mean, it felt bigger, and then coming out the same day as Oppenheimer, that was on top of it. And I feel like for a lot of people post the pandemic, that got people back to theaters was Barbie and both of those movies, the nice part was with both of those movies doing super well, it wasn't like it was a perfect example of cross promote or of counter programming, I should say, in the way that both of those movies could thrive and both opened to like record numbers at the box office because it was like Barbie made like over $100 million, but Oppenheimer made like I think like 60, 70 million or something, which for a 3-hour biopic, R-rated biopic is huge in itself. Both those movies were massive wins and we reaped the rewards of that in a great summer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And look, is this still corporate promotion? 1000%. You cannot remove that unless the handlers of this franchise are asleep at the wheel and Greta Gerwig could pull some really based shit. No, it was always going to be that. But for what it is, we got some top tier shit in that realm, in that spectrum, dude. And so appreciate it for what it was, for what it is. And we may not have that for many years, this phenomenon.
No, it's true. No, it's true. You have to really appreciate what that movie did. Made almost $1.5 billion with a B dollars. And you know what the beautiful part is too? There's no sequel planned.
You're right. That's awesome. But there is a Mattel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, I think is what they're calling it. But but yeah. So we'll see what comes of that. But at least the Barbie name shall not be tarnished.
Movie. They're not going to learn shit from this.
No, 1000%. That's what I said. As soon as that I think it was a Variety article or whatever. Yeah, I was like, nah, they're not going to learn, are they?
Hey man, I'm there day one for the Hot Wheels movie. So.
Dude, what if it's a Gran Turismo type movie?
Daniel Kaluuya, like I'm there, man.
It's not going to be as big, but the Barney movie is going to be fascinating.
Oh, that's right. That's what he's actually attached to. Yeah, never mind.
Oh God.
Or the Barney movie Kaluuya is making.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's right.
Anyways, yeah, great pick. For your number 2 as well. My number 2 is a film that Dom previously mentioned. It is The Holdovers. The Holdovers for me, man, I don't know what the hell else I can say about this movie because Dom was hitting on all the points here, honestly. I love this movie. I really, really do. To me, this is Alexander Payne's best movie and Paul Giamatti's best performance. It's a heartwarming movie, whether Payne likes it or not. Sorry, man, if Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then so is The Holdovers. In my eyes, what The Holdovers did so well is making me feel like the events of the movie are really happening to real people. We talked about this in our review, but like I feel like I'm stuck with Angus at school, and I feel like I'm really in this scenario. I feel like Paul Hunnam is a real professor that exists at a university somewhere, and that I have encountered him at some point. I feel like Mary is a real mother grieving. And another thing we mentioned is like these performances don't really have a performance moment. Like when they show the highlight reel in the Oscars and like, you know, it's that moment and sometimes there's music playing. with the movie and everything, and it's them, really having the camera focus on them. This, like, when it shows, like, best performance, Paul Giamatti, it might be that liquor scene. And just how well they're bouncing off each other like friends. And then, like, ends with the quip, like,
Yeah.
and I hit him with my car and everything and whatnot. That's what I loved about this movie, is that, not that I don't mind, like, the Oscar moment performance. I love those too. That's why Oppenheimer is up there for me. That's why my number one, when we get there, you'll see what it is. I mean, like, it probably has a moment like that too, that you could say. But, like, the Holdovers, man, it just felt so real. I love how this movie looks, sounds, and feels. It feels like true passion from Alexander Payne, a man who honed his craft perfectly throughout the years and has been gone for a while after downsizing, which I still have yet to see. But I'm glad he's back. Steve, you bringing up that a Western is his next movie, shit, I cannot wait for that, because to me, he was firing on all cylinders here. And if he wants to bring, I know, like, some people might look at it as, like, oh, he's doing the whole old filmy look and everything that he did with the Holdovers. Man, if he does that with a Western, I think that will also be a cherry on top too. I don't want him to do it too much, but I would love for him to do it with the Western, just because it's a Western. It's funny, heartwarming, tear-jerking, and one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's not only one of my favorite movies this year, but sit me down when I turn 50 years old, and it's going to be on my favorite films of all time, no doubt. Number 2 for me is The Holdovers.
Hell yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We ready to give our number one picks?
Do we want to break?
This is what I was going to suggest. We can do our honorable mentions right now, and then we do a break, and then we do our number 1.
5 minutes. Steve, go.
I can fly through my honorable mentions. You ready, Joe?
Ready.
All right. For my honorable mentions, I'll go 6 through 10. Number 6 for me was BS High. Really was happy that Joe recommended we do tackle this. I always like to try to include one documentary on this list every year, and BS High was absolutely one of them. For me, great, sad story, but a great story. Led to a really good Sleepless with Steve episode as well. Number 7 for me would be May December. It says something when a movie featuring Natalie Portman playing an actress and Julianne Moore playing a registered sex offender, that both of those performances, while great, it's Charles Melton who might run away with the performance of the hour for this movie. This is a uniquely compelling movie, now available on Netflix, came out at the end of last month. Number 8 for me is Missing, the sequel to Searching, which I think a lot of people forgot about because this came out in very early January of 2023. This had so many red flags going into it. It wasn't even funny. And the fact that it wound up being one of my favorite films of the year is a testament to how absolutely great this was. And even though Anish Chinganti did not come back to do this movie, he directed Searching. The editors of the original Searching were behind Missing, and it feels like it so much. Great, great film. That's on Netflix. Priscilla made number 9 on my list as well, the superior Elvis movie that revolves around Priscilla directed by Sofia Coppola. Probably my favorite Sofia Coppola movie too, I will say. Wow. And then number 10, it's been spoken about on this show too, already this show, but Barbie came in at number 10 for me too. As we talked about quite a bit, the hype train is a dangerous ride to hop aboard. And a lot of us got on the hype train, and it was not a case of overhype. Greta Gerwig's Barbie, probably the most anticipated movie of the year. It gave me great joy when I came out of that theater to write the review and report that this movie is a visual feast, a technical marvel, and an award-worthy display of imaginative storytelling that we all hoped it would be. That rounds out my top 10 list.
Dom, go.
Joe, for honorable mentions, I actually don't like doing 6. I do have like 6+, but I just kind of do a smattering here. And I kind of paired them off. I didn't even realize this. Mario Brothers movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Awesome. Totally Killer, Scream 6. Awesome. And Gran Turismo out of these 6 movies might actually be my favorite out of all of them. Just because it's perfect for what it absolutely is. And then I would have put BS. I completely forgot about BS High. That probably would be my number 1. I should have added it here in retrospect. And then, of course, Creed 3 starring Michael B. Jordan and nobody else. So it's some great. If you looked at this honorable mentions list alone and you think that was my top 6, you'd think I was the most basic bitch ever. But honestly, like I kind of rail on like big nerd, some basic bitch stuff, but I like me when it's done well. Hey man, Guardians 3, pretty damn solid, good movie. I can't deny that. Totally Killer. That was fun. That was fun. And you know what? I would put Godzilla -1 on some honorable mentions. Steve, take us to break.
No. Hold on. I got like mine. Like I know that I did like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know I did my
thought you
6 through
earlier.
10 and everything. But real quick, these were just ones that didn't even make like the top 10. But I do want to give note to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Loved it. Great conclusion to that trilogy of films. Absolutely had a great time with it. Missing, like Steve said, amazing movie. All red flags going into it. BS High was really great. We got to watch this. No Hard Feelings, rom-coms, or just comedies in general, slowly making a comeback to theaters. This was no exception. No One Will Save You, and John Wick Chapter 4 as well. And Spider-Verse, yeah. All right. Steve, take us out.
Good stuff. We will come back and each reveal our number one favorite films of 2023. Do not go anywhere. It is Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube on this Wednesday evening. Back and better than ever, it is Sleepless with Steve. 2 Zoom-sponsored intermissions here on this show. That's what you get for one of our biggest shows of the year. It is our top 5 favorite films of 2023. We are down to 1 each right now. Like the way that the show's been going, the flow of it and the speed. Just going to clock in a little bit of overtime now, which even though we started late and such like that. But
honestly, this is the fastest we've done it too.
I like this format that we're doing right now. And we planned this show a lot less than people think, and it just works. But we're gonna take it home right now. My number one favorite film of 2023 is The Holdovers. A little bit of gas out of the sails on this one because I'll be the third person tonight to talk about this movie. I won't go too long-winded like I normally do for my number one pick, since it has been talked about by you guys as well, included on your list, which I'm very happy to see that. Obviously, there's no slight there. But it's so fitting that The Holdovers is from Alexander Payne, who gave us already so many cinematic gifts, like The Descendants with George Clooney, Sideways with Paul Giamatti, and Nebraska with Will Forte and Bruce Dern. Years and years ago, more than a decade ago, Alexander Payne said in an interview that it kind of surprised him. I think it was about Sideways, and how he said like all the praise he got for that movie. And he said it's very weird that we live in kind of this time like Hollywood. He's like, we're making small human and humorous movies is considered like this massive achievement. He said it should be the norm. And you watch a movie like The Holdovers and you realize how damn rare it is. It feels like a lost 70s movie because these movies were really common in the 70s, and it probably would have been praised back then, but it feels revelatory in a lot of ways because we don't get movies like this very often. We don't get a lot of movies too that are devoted to like the older, more middle-aged demographic either. Something I've talked about kind of ad nauseum over my time being a film critic and everything, is that's a demographic that really gets left out of Hollywood now, is like your movies for people that are Paul Hunnam's age and The Holdovers. You don't see a lot of that. But this is a wonderful, you almost want to call it an anti-Christmas movie, but I could see myself making this a staple viewing during Christmas, right next to Bad Santa and Santa's Sleigh for me. The Holdovers is just a phenomenal movie from top to bottom. It features three of the singular best performances of the year in Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, as well as Dominic Sessa in his first performance. It's pretty fascinating, too, to watch Dominic Sessa because it feels like his comfort level grows the more the movie goes on. He's a little off kilter in the movie. That's just part of his character, but it feels like his comfort level and his maturation process. You're kind of watching that unfold on screen. All three of these characters are developed delicately and humanistically too. Paul Giamatti, again, I think the only thing that we really haven't touched on with this movie again too is that there are some very serious dramatic moments in this movie and some very tear-jerking instances here, but god damn it is this thing funny. This thing can be hilarious, and a lot of it is due to Paul Giamatti playing this blisteringly funny, irascible professor who, at the beginning of this movie, especially the first 40 minutes, is just inexplicably ruthless to these children, and it is hysterically funny. He's got one, and again, without context, it doesn't land as much. But one of my favorite line deliveries this year of any year is towards the end of the movie when he tells the one kid, "What happened to you, Icarus? Fly a little too close to the sun." There's so many great lines in this movie. Entre nous is one of my new favorites phrases as well. Really going to be spearheading the Divine Joy Randolph Oscar campaign over here. She's probably going to have, depending on what she gets, probably going to be supporting actress, in which case she's probably going to be up against Lily Gladstone. It depends on what they put her as, best actress or best supporting actress. But Divine Joy Randolph here is the heart and soul of this movie tremendously as well. And again, it's so fitting that this comes from Alexander Payne, who, again, I think a lot of people really forgot how great he was, not only because Downsizing was a massive disappointment, but because that movie came out about 7 years ago and Payne really hasn't done anything since. He kind of went to director's jail after Downsizing bombed. So it's great to have him back. He's somebody that I always think about when I think of some of my favorite drama. Sideways is one of my all-time favorite movies, and this movie probably wrestles with Sideways right alongside it for my favorite Alexander Payne movie. It's on Peacock. I'm super happy that it was, and it had a longer life in theaters. It might not have made a ton of money, but it had a much longer life in theaters than I thought it was going to, especially when they put it on video on demand just a couple weeks after it came out. So it's still in theaters in some places, but it's available on Peacock. You should absolutely see it. The Holdovers runs away with my number one favorite film of the year.
Dude, if Paul Giamatti beats Cillian Murphy for Best Actor, the bros are gonna riot.
Dude, they are. Everybody's gonna go insane, and then us three are gonna be like, "Well, you see."
That and you know what? You couldn't even really say that would be the biggest Best Actor upset of even the last 5 years because of Anthony Hopkins over Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Which the fucking Academy, I almost think I went back and watched that clip. I almost went back and watched that clip again where the Academy, they clearly, that was the first time I believe that the Academy truly does not know who is going to win these awards, because they put Best Actor at the end.
Yeah.
They put it at the end thinking it was going to be this celebratory thing for Chadwick Boseman, and then Anthony Hopkins was in bed at home when he won. I never bought into the whole thing that the Academy doesn't know who wins, but I did that. And that made me a true believer. That I'm like, there's no way if they knew Hopkins was going to win that they would have reordered it and not ended the night with Best Picture.
Yeah, man.
There's no way, no how. But that was that was almost inexplicable. But yeah, no, there is steam for Paul Giamatti with Best Actor. I just can't go from the chalk. I really think it's going to be Cillian Murphy.
Oh, it absolutely is, yeah.
Don't answer this question because we need to move on, and we'll revisit this come Oscars show. But, dude, have the Oscars in the past 10 years gotten super spicy for out of pure error in every instance?
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll revisit that. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Here's my number one. All right, my number. It's fucking Oppenheimer. What the fuck did you think it was gonna be? Yeah, dude. Just like Steve, y'all took the wind out of my sails, but that's A-okay. You took the gas out of my B-52. I am absolutely happy with that because this is like the perfect Nolan movie for me. This is so me coded. You'd think that effing that freaking Christopher Nolan was an expert hacker. Like, bro,
We need a
this
different
is
edit of Oppenheimer where Dom's in the background with the blue polo working on the Manhattan Project.
100%. Every single actor is given the perfect role and given the perfect amount of screen time for their arcs. I'm sure there are plenty of maybe plot holes and flaws. I don't give a shit. I don't care. This is perfection for me. And the fact that this is World War II history, this is Cold War political tension, this is courtroom drama. Joe, you mentioned you took the words right out of my mouth. When it got to a courtroom drama in the third act, I was like, oh, this is when it gets good.
Yeah.
This is when the movie got good. And it was already obviously very good. You got Josh Peck.
Pushing the button.
Say
dude.
no more. That's it. That's my whole rant. Number one movie is Oppenheimer. I am actually like getting excited to watch this. Like, I've actually only seen it once in the theater, just because it's one of those movies that just stays with you for a while. Okay, for real though. If there's ever a flaw that Sleepless with Steve has, I think, and this is honestly my fault. If there's any flaw that we have, it's that we don't talk about movie scores enough. We don't talk about music enough on this show. And I've tried my damnedest to remember. It's like, can you just do 60 seconds to talk about
Soul was the only one I can
remember
that we actually,
and then I always forget. So, and I'm the music guy too. So it's honestly my job. But yeah, dude, like this is textbook. I'm a freaking idiot. It's not Hans Zimmer. It is Ludwig Göransson who did the
Tenet.
Mandalorian score, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And like honestly, it works you would think this would be a Hans Zimmer score, but no. Honestly, it's the strings here. That theme hits you square in the face. I could keep making atomic bomb jokes, but honestly, it's just such a great score, and the sound design here is absolutely fantastic. I guess if there's any flaw here, it's that the A bomb itself was kind of underwhelming, but nah, dude, everything about this movie, I'm very scatterbrained right now, but this is easily number one in the Nolan filmography for me. Probably his hardest hitting for me since Inception, which is another movie that I love by him. So you gentlemen easily did a lot of justice in your talks about this movie. So yeah, 100% Oppenheimer.
Nice. Dude, I mean, it's a perfect choice, honestly. It would it's probably going to be the one that runs away a lot at the Oscars with almost every award, I think. I know a lot of people are saying Barbie might get all the costume and set design. And it probably will win those, but when it comes to the big hitters, I think Oppenheimer is going to steal the show.
I think so. It's almost like the go-to, but this is a really good year for movies.
It really is.
Can we just say that?
Yeah. This was a great year for media in general. Like, TV shows popped off. The Bear season 2, Succession season 4, Barry, amazing TV. Video games too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that because there's so many good video games I can list. And movies as well. Like, media in general, it really felt like the year of like, everybody was saying like, oh, are we back from like, have they recovered from COVID with productions and stuff? And I was waiting. This is the year I'm like, no, this is definitely the year. It feels like everything is getting back on track.
Yeah. And you know why? Because of the executives. All right, Joe, take us home.
All right. Oh, man. All right, here we go. My number one pick for 2023. Killers of the Flower Moon, directed by Martin Scorsese, still playing in theaters. I was told thousands of times to go rewatch this movie after we got done reviewing it here on Sleepless, and I told my friends I was kind of like let down by it. I was told, go rewatch it again. Appreciate it a second time. I need to readjust my look at Leo's performance, because that was one thing I complained about was, hey, Leo felt underwhelming in this movie. I need to go back and appreciate what they did with Lily Gladstone, and how, while she's not utilized that well during like the second half of the film, that it's for a purpose, and like the dream sequence and everything that she experiences in this movie, it all points into a specific direction that my friends were telling me and everything. And people were telling me, like, if you love Robert De Niro, this is by far his best performance and everything. So, okay, everybody's telling me that. And while it's 3.5 hours long as well, it could have been cut down, is what I said. But people told me it deserves it because Martin Scorsese is putting you in place of this tragedy and how terrible it was and the horrors of it and everything. Everybody told me this. So after viewing it a second time, I could safely say that Poor Things is my number one on my list for 2023.
Okay.
Bravo. That was outstanding.
After viewing that a second time, Poor Things is my number one movie of the year because, like every other movie on this list, I only had to watch it once and knew where it belonged to my list.
I think, Steve, I think Joe primed me specifically with the Godzilla -1. I think that might have been a strategic for this number one, strategic deployment of Godzilla for this number one. Because, bro, you had me going. You had me going.
Too.
I was like, oh, Joe just doesn't understand good storytelling.
I still need to see it. I'm so jealous you got to see it.
I saw this once, loved it, and I want to go see it a second time on my own desire, not being told to go see it a second time because I didn't understand it. Let me tell you something. Quick rant about Killers of the Flower Moon. I understood it. I saw it twice. I still feel the same way about it. And I still think it is a good movie, but it's not as amazing as a lot of people are making it out to be. I know Scorsese is a critic's darling and everything. And I respect him as a filmmaker. Love him as a filmmaker. I love The Irishman. But that is just a film. It's just not for me. And if my friends tune into this to see my top 5 and they hear me say this, I'm not seeing it a third time. Okay? I'm not wasting 9.5 hours. Wait, actually, it would be technically 11 with the two halves and shit. Watching Kills of the Flower Moon again. Anyways, let's talk about this movie. Holy shit, I am so glad I saw this movie. I saw it over the weekend, last minute. I caught a train to go to River East. Originally, this wasn't the movie I was going to go see. I was going to go see American Fiction. I missed the showtime for American Fiction because the train got delayed to River East. And I said, well, I'm not waiting fucking 5 hours for the next American Fiction showtime, so I'm going to go see Poor Things. And I was going to text you guys about all this. And I was like, I'm going to keep it a secret. What if like this turns out to be like a great movie and it ends up on my list? Dude, holy shit. I was not expecting this. Directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I might mispronounce his name there. Steve, correct me if I am.
That's how you pronounce it.
Oh, okay, awesome. Poor Things is the most original movie for me this year. It's a unique spin on the Frankenstein tale, this time with a woman who has the mind of a baby and is exploring everything sexually. It's the funniest movie and by far the best I've seen this year. Emma Stone is the lock for me for best performance this year. I think this is her best performance by far. This outdoes La La Land. This outdoes everything I've seen her in. This to me is going to be like, when you talk about Emma Stone, I think this is going to be a film a lot of people bring up. I know I love Lily Gladstone in The Killers of the Flower Moon. And if she wins it, she rightfully so as well. For me though, the character of Bella is truly unique and unlike anything I've ever seen. It's by far the bravest performance of this year. I might add on to that as well. And for the longest time this year, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were my favorite duo on screen. But I gotta say, man, Mark Ruffalo and Emma Stone might have actually just taken that spot for me because they are so great together on screen. It had me laughing my ass off throughout. Mark Ruffalo, who plays this like sneezy, like the sneezy lawyer whose British accent comes in and out throughout the whole film, is like a living cartoon character, and he is so damn good in this, man. This might be Mark Ruffalo's best performance for all I know. I gotta see a few more Mark Ruffalo movies, but I loved him in this, man. Oh, where was I at on my little thing here? Oh, it's probably my favorite performance of his ever. That's what I just said. But for sure, Emma Stone as Bella is definitely my favorite performance as hers. Like I was saying, it's truly amazing to watch her at the start of this movie as like this immature woman who has, like I said, the mind of a baby, and see where she ends up by the end of the movie. It gave me the same feeling of character growth that the holdovers had, where I'm watching these characters like they're stuck with each other for a while. And by the end of the movie, they're a whole different character, and they've gone through this great journey. And almost all these movies that I mentioned throughout here have that on this as well. The movie, the world in this movie is so unique. I'm a sucker for world building and everything, but my God, man, Yorgos, holy shit, dude, you're like the next Tim Burton with what you're cooking here, man. There are just backgrounds with amazing paintings and everything that look astonishingly beautiful and cool, and he has these great moments of world building, like showing you how like cool this world is, but it never takes away from the substance of the movie. It's never his style over his substance, which, unlike a movie that will be brought up next week, was what it was totally about and totally ruined that movie. Yorgos is becoming an amazing staple to film directors with a unique look and style. I wasn't crazy about The Lobster. I enjoyed it. I think it was good. I know a lot of people loved it. I loved The Favorite. I gotta say this. I've been saying this a lot throughout the night. This is my favorite film by him. It just shows how good this year was for movies, when I can like say 3 of the directors I saw this year. Hell, even 4 with Greta, I would even say. No. Hold on. Lady Bird is definitely better. Okay, 3 of the directors, Nolan, Payne, and now Yorgos. Their movies absolutely killed it, and some of their best. This brought me back to when I was watching Wes Anderson when I was younger, seeing his movies like Steve Aquatica, Moonrise Kingdom, and Grand Budapest Hotel. Watching a director absolutely kill it with his craft and style and making something truly unique. Please, before I end this, do not go see this movie with your parents. I didn't. And that's because there's a lot of nudity in this film, and a lot of penises, and a lot of boobs, and a lot of dicks. I already said that. That's how much it is. I had to mention it twice. So definitely go see it with your parents or anybody who's uncomfortable with that. There's a lot of sex and nudity in this film. Other than that, Poor Things is definitely, like I said with The Holdovers, not only is it one of my the favorite movie of the year. Sit me down when I'm 50, I will still talk about this movie and be down to watch it right on the spot as I'm talking about it.
I love it. So jealous that you got to see it. My one friend saw it, loved it as well. I'm a big Yorgos Lanthimos fan. I liked one you forgot to mention though that it's probably my favorite of his is as of this moment is Killing of a Sacred Deer.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you have not, with Barry Keoghan, from Saltburn. He's absolutely terrific in it too, and that's just a really great weird movie. Him and Colin Farrell make beautiful music, and Emma Stone was also outstanding in The Favorite too. Yeah. That was the movie that put a lot of people on too, even though she's been working for years. I feel like that's when a lot of people really started to pay attention to Olivia Colman. Was that movie The Favorite? Yorgos is interesting. He's a really interesting dude, and I'm excited for this. I'm really glad we got a little bit of Poor Things plug on this show, though. Even though I haven't seen it, it's definitely been noticed from my friend group too. People have been talking about it. I hope to see it soon. It's not out here, unfortunately. I swear to God, us not getting Poor Things is like retribution for the fact that we did get Shortcomings.
Oh man.
Great show, gentlemen. Great list. It's a workout, this show. It always is. It always is. Next week, those are our 5 favorite films of 2023. Each of us, a little bit of overlap, but a lot of great commentary. Next week, we're tackling the worst, which might be my favorite show of the year. It's either this show or the Oscars.
It's always this show for me. I love looking back and being like, oh yeah, that came out and everything. Then it's the Oscars, then it's the worst stuff. Because when I go back and I look at like some of the movies that came out, I'm like, ah, shit, I really wasted 2 hours of my life with that.
We'll be back next week, same time, same place, probably regular time, 6:30, to talk about the worst movies we saw in 2023. I got my list. I haven't really promoted it, but I published it today. My list is available if you want to check it out at stevepulaski.com, as well as my complete best list, also available at stevepulaski.com. In the meantime, though, next week, we're getting into the worst films of 2023, and I would not want to do it with anybody else but these gentlemen, Dominic Guanzon, Joe Viso, and yours truly. This has been Sleepless with Steve.